Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. Today we're going to be focusing on something a little different, and honestly, I'm really excited about this. It's something a lot of you have been asking for.
Um, yeah,
Yep.
a lot of our listeners want to expand their vocabulary.
Yeah, exactly right. They want to be able to, understand English better, speak it more clearly.
Yeah, and really the best way to do that is to build up a strong vocabulary.
And that's what we're going to help you do today. We're going to be going through 30 words from the Oxford 5000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Specifically words 1561 to 1590.
1561 to 1590, that's right. We're in group 53, folks, if you're following along at home. And we think these words are going to be incredibly useful for you. They're not just like basic vocabulary that everybody knows, but they're also not super obscure.
Yeah. These are words that you'll see and hear quite often, but, you might not be 100% confident in using them yourself.
Exactly. And our goal today is to give you a clear understanding of what each of these words means, how to use them in a sentence, and hopefully make them memorable for you so that you can start using them in your own English conversations.
Yeah. We want to make sure that you can walk away from this deep dive feeling more confident and comfortable using these words.
Absolutely. So why don't we just jump right in? Our first word is robust.
Okay. Robust. Now, this word is a great one to start with because it has a really strong positive meaning.
Yeah, robust basically means strong and healthy, able to withstand difficult conditions.
Exactly. So, for example, you might hear someone say, the company reported robust profits this year.
Yeah, that we mean the company is doing well financially, right? It's stable.
Exactly. Or you might hear someone describe a person as, he is a robust young man.
Meaning he's healthy and full of energy.
Right. And it can also be used to describe objects. For instance, the old table is very robust, meaning it's sturdy and well made.
Yeah, it's not going to break easily.
So robust is a word that implies strength and resilience. It can be used to describe people, things, situations. It's a very versatile word.
I like it. It's a good one. Okay, so moving on to our next word, we have rock.
Okay, rock. This is a pretty basic word, but it's important to know.
Yeah, we all know what a rock is, but let's just make sure we're all on the same page.
Right. So rock refers to the hard, solid material that forms part of the Earth's surface.
You know, like the stuff we see in mountains and cliffs and riverbeds?
Exactly. So you might say, we sat on a large rock by the river, or the house is built on solid rock.
Yeah, which means it has a very firm foundation.
Right. And of course, you could also use it in a warning, like, be careful not to slip on the wet rocks.
Good advice. Okay, up next we have rocket.
Rocket. Now, this word is a bit more exciting.
Yeah, it makes me think of space travel.
And that's one of its main meanings. A rocket is a vehicle that's propelled by the burning of fuel, and it's often used for space exploration.
So you might hear something like, the rocket launched successfully into space.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But we also use rocket to refer to smaller things like model rockets that people build as a hobby.
Right, and sometimes we use rocket figuratively to describe something that's increasing very rapidly, like the price of oil has rocketed in recent months.
Exactly. So rocket can refer to both a literal object and a rapid increase.
Okay, good to know. All right, our next word is rod.
Rod. Now, this one is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, a rod is just a thin, straight piece of metal, wood, or some other material.
Right, like a fishing rod.
Yeah, he used a fishing rod to catch the fish.
Or the curtain hangs from a metal rod.
She stirred the paint with a wooden rod. Simple as that.
Yeah. So a rod is basically just a long, thin, stick-like object.
Okay, moving on to our next word, we have romance.
Romance. Now, this word has a lot of different meanings, but at its core, it refers to that feeling of excitement and mystery associated with love.
Yeah, you know, like when you're first falling in love and everything feels so new and exciting.
Exactly. So you might say, there was a feeling of romance in the air, or they fell in love and had a whirlwind romance.
And of course, we also use romance to refer to a genre of books and movies.
Yeah. Like she enjoys reading romance novels.
Okay. So next up, we have rose.
Rose, a classic flower.
Yeah. Beautiful and fragrant, and sometimes thorny.
Right. So you might say, she picked a red rose from the garden, or the garden was full of roses.
And of course, we can't forget about Valentine's Day.
Yeah. The price of roses often increases before Valentine's Day.
True that. Okay, our next word is rotate.
Rotate means to turn around a central point or axis.
Like the Earth.
Exactly. The Earth rotates on its axis.
And we also rotate things in everyday life.
Yeah, like you need to rotate the tires on your car regularly.
The fan blades began to rotate.
The rotate just means to spin or turn.
And the noun form of rotate is rotation.
Right. Rotation refers to the act of rotating.
So you might say the Earth's rotation causes day and night.
Or we took turns in rotation.
The rotation speed of the wheel increase.
So rotate is the verb and rotation is the noun.
Okay, great. Our next word is roughly.
Roughly means approximately or not exactly.
Yeah, so if you're giving an estimate, you might say there are roughly 50 people at the meeting.
Or I roughly calculated the cost.
But be careful, because roughly can also mean in a harsh or violent way.
Right. Like he treated her roughly.
So the meaning of roughly depends on the context.
Exactly. Pay attention to the surrounding words.
Okay, good point. All right, moving on to ruin.
Ruin means the destruction of something.
Yeah, like after a fire or natural disaster.
Right. So you might say, the fire caused complete ruin to the building. Or heavy rain can ruin the crops.
And sometimes we use ruin metaphorically.
Yeah, like don't let one mistake ruin your day.
True that. All right, our next word is ruling.
Ruling refers to an official decision made by a judge or a court.
So you might hear something like, the court issued a ruling in favor of the defendant.
Or the referee's ruling was controversial.
The company appealed against the ruling.
So a ruling is a formal decision that has legal weight.
Okay, our next word is rumor.
Rumor is a story or piece of information that's circulating but may not be true.
Yeah, like gossip.
Right. You might hear someone say, there's a rumor that the company will close. Or, I heard a rumor about their divorce.
And of course, it's always important to remember, don't believe every rumor you hear.
Exactly. Rumors can be misleading or completely false.
Okay, our next word is sack.
Sack. This word has a couple of different meanings.
Yeah, it can be a large bag made of strong material.
Right, like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, he carried a sack of potatoes.
Well,
Or they packed their belongings into sacks.
but sack can also mean to fire someone from their job.
Yeah, that's a less pleasant meaning.
Right, like the company decided to sack several employees.
So be careful with that one.
Yeah, context is key.
Okay, up next we have sacred.
Sacred means connected with God or the gods or dedicated to a religious purpose.
Yeah, it implies something is holy and deserving of respect.
Exactly. So you might say, this is a sacred place.
Yeah.
Or they consider the cow to be sacred.
The book contains sacred texts.
So sacred refers to something that's held in high regard for religious reasons.
All right, our next word is sacrifice.
Sacrifice means giving up something valued for the sake of something else regarded as more important or worthy.
Yeah, like making a sacrifice for your family or your country.
Right. So you might say, he made many sacrifices for his family. Or they offered a sacrifice to the gods.
She had to sacrifice her free time to study.
So sacrifice implies giving up something you value for a greater good.
Okay, our next word is saint.
Saint is a person acknowledged as holy or virtuous and typically regarded as being in heaven after death.
Like St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland.
Exactly. So you might say St. Patrick is the patron saint of Ireland, or the church is named after a famous saint.
And sometimes we use saint more loosely to describe someone who's exceptionally good or patient.
Yeah, like she is considered a saint by many.
Okay. So next up we have sake.
Sake means for the benefit of or for the purpose of.
Like doing something for the sake of your health or for the sake of your children.
Right. So you might say they stayed together for the sake of their children or For goodness sake, be careful.
He asked for help for his own sake.
So socket implies doing something for a specific reason or purpose.
Okay, our next word is sanction.
Now, sanction can be a bit tricky because it actually has two almost opposite meanings.
Yeah, it can mean to give official permission or approval for something.
Right, like the project received official sanction.
But it can also mean to impose a penalty or punishment on someone.
Yeah, like the United Nations imposed sanctions on the country.
Or what are the sanctions for breaking the rules?
So the meaning of sanction depends on the context.
Yeah, you really have to pay attention to how it's being used.
Absolutely. Okay, our next word is satisfaction.
Satisfaction is that feeling of pleasure or contentment that you get when you've achieved something or fulfilled a need.
Yeah, like when you finish a difficult task or you finally get what you've been wanting.
Right, so you might say she felt a sense of satisfaction after finishing the work. Or customer satisfaction is our top priority.
He smiled with satisfaction.
So satisfaction basically means feeling happy and content.
Okay, our next word is say.
Say. This is a very simple word that we use all the time, but let's just make sure we understand all its nuances.
Right. So say basically means to utter words to communicate information, opinions, feelings, or intentions.
So you might ask someone, what did she say? Or you might say, he didn't say a word.
And we also use say in expressions like, they say it's going to rain tomorrow.
So say is a very versatile word that we use in a lot of different ways.
Right, our next word is scandal.
Scandal is an action or event that's considered morally or legally wrong and causes public outrage.
Yeah, it's something that shocks and offends people.
Right, like a politician being caught in a lie or a celebrity being involved in a crime.
Exactly. So you might hear something like, the politician was involved in a major scandal, or the news caused a public scandal.
They tried to keep the scandal quiet.
So scandal refers to something that's shocking and damaging to someone's reputation.
Okay, up next we have scare.
Scare means to frighten someone.
Yeah, like when you jump out from behind a door and yell, boo!
Exactly. So you might say, the loud noise gave her a scare. Or, don't try to scare me.
He was scared of the dark.
So scare is a verb that means to make someone afraid.
And the adjective form of scare is scared.
Right. Scared means feeling afraid.
Okay, our next word is scattered.
Scattered means spread out over a wide area in an irregular way.
Yeah, like toys all over the floor.
Right. So you might say the toys were scattered all over the floor, or there are scattered showers expected today.
The seeds were scattered by the wind.
So scattered implies things are spread out randomly, not in an organized way.
Okay, our next word is scenario.
Scenario is a possible situation or sequence of events.
Yeah, like when you're planning for the future, you might consider different scenarios.
Exactly. So you might say, we discussed different possible scenarios, or imagine the following scenario.
The worst case scenario is that we lose all our money.
So a scenario is basically a hypothetical situation.
Okay, up next we have skeptical.
Skeptical means not easily convinced, having doubts or reservations.
Yeah, like when someone tells you something that sounds too good to be true, you might be skeptical.
Right. So you might say, I am skeptical about his claims. Or, she looked at him with a skeptical expression.
Many people are skeptical of the new technology.
So skeptical means you're not sure if something is true or not.
Okay, our next word is scholar.
Scholar is a person who is highly educated or has an aptitude for study.
Yeah, like a professor or a researcher.
Exactly. So you might say, he is a respected scholar of ancient history, or the library attracts many scholars.
And scholar is related to the word scholarship, which is financial aid for education.
Right. So you might say, she received a scholarship to study abroad.
Okay, our next word is scope.
Scope refers to the extent or range of something.
Yeah, like the scope of a project or the scope of an investigation.
Right. So you might say the scope of the project is quite broad, or this issue is beyond the scope of our discussion.
There is limited scope for improvement.
So scope defines the boundaries or limits of something.
Okay, our next word is scratch.
Scratch can be a verb or a noun.
Yeah, as a verb, it means to make a mark on a surface with something sharp.
Right, like the cat scratched the furniture.
Or be careful not to scratch the car.
And as a noun, scratch refers to the mark itself.
Yeah, and we also use scratch in expressions like, I have an itch I need to scratch.
So scratch is a word with multiple meanings.
Okay, our final word for today is screening.
Screening can also have a couple of different meanings.
Yeah, it can refer to the showing of a film.
Right, like there'll be a special screening of the movie tonight.
But it can also refer to a test or examination to detect something.
Yeah, like a medical screening.
Right. All new employees undergo a health screening. Or the security screening at the airport was quick.
So screening can refer to either a showing or a test.
Okay, so there you have it, folks. 30 words from the Oxford 5000 to expand your vocabulary.
Yeah, we hope this deep dive has been helpful.
Absolutely, and we encourage you to go out and start using these words in your own English conversations.
Yeah, the more you use them, the more confident you'll become.
And who knows, maybe you'll even discover some new favorite words along the way.
The possibilities are endless.
That's right. Well, thanks for joining us today for another deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.